This screencast is the second in a series introducing debugging in Matlab. In this screencast I will discuss how to use the debugger within the editor for finding minor errors. I will discuss the use of breakpoints, stepping and resuming, viewing variables at breakpoints, changing variable values and performing minor calculations, and reviewing variable lists. Let's get started. The green arrow in the editor ribbon is the Run button. The F5 key will also serve as a keyboard shortcut, as you can see on the hint. When I run the code from the editor, Matlab will automatically save the file. Let me make a minor change. You can see the asterisk appear, and when I run the code, it will automatically be saved. Now let me check the output in the command window. You can see that the code returned NaN 3 times. NaN is Matlab's code, or lingo, for not a number. So even though this code has no errors that are reported, it gives me output that's totally crazy. So I need to figure out what is wrong. Matlab does not tell me where to find the errors. It's up to me to use some intelligent looking in order to find those mistakes. Let's use the debugger tools to find out what's wrong with the code. I can insert a breakpoint that will stop execution at a given line. To insert a breakpoint, I simply click in the left-hand column where one of these hyphens is on an executable line. Matlab will run until it encounters a breakpoint and then stop to allow me to inspect variables and change a variable value if necessary. Let me insert one at line 5 and another at line 9. Now when I execute the code, it will run until it reaches a breakpoint. Also notice that all of the debugger buttons are now enabled. You can see some new buttons have appeared. The enabled buttons include one to step one line at a time. There's something called Step In and Step Out that I will use later, and a button to exit the debug mode. I will discuss the function stack drop-down box later. While the code is stopped, I can hover over a variable name in the editor. When I hover, Matlab will show me the current value of the variable stored in memory. Matlab works through the code sequentially by line. Therefore, when I hover over R2, it's not yet defined. I also can find variables if I look in the workspace. Here it is obvious that only R1 has been defined. I also can see a list of all the variables that are defined within my code. If I click Continue or the F5 key, the code will go until the next breakpoint. I also can step one line at a time, and this allows me to look more carefully at the intermediate variables. Notice in this line that I have divided by 0, which creates a value of infinity. Note how Matlab abbreviates infinity. Note that this is not a fatal error in Matlab. It simply returns a value of infinity. Since I've identified the error, let me fix it. As I make the change, notice that the breakpoint indicators change from red to gray. This tells me that changes have been made in the file since I began to run the debugger tool. Also, notice the green arrow is still present on line 13. This tells me that I'm still in debugger mode. Notice the file name in the title bar now has an asterisk. Matlab will not enable me to save until I've exited the debugger mode. Now the breakpoint indicators change back to red. Now I'm going to clear all the breakpoints with this button, and I'll set a new breakpoint down in my function. Now I will run again, and you can see that the variable v2 is now okay. Now that I'm at a breakpoint, let me show you that I can also access variables from the command window. The key with the double prompt shows me that I'm in the debugger mode. I can type a variable name here to see its current value. I can also change the value. If I continue the code from this point, the variable will take on the new value. Because Calc B is nested within demo vector, I can also find values for the variables in the outer function. Notice that these do not appear in the workspace, which only shows the variables within the current function. From the command window, the command who will give me a listing of all my variables. The command whos will tell me the type of variable and how large it is. To exit debug mode, I can use in the command window db quit and to do it best, I can combine it with all. In a small function like this, the all is not necessary. So you can see that using breakpoints is a pretty powerful way to work through code and find out where errors are occurring and what the variable values are as you execute the code.